In the 80s, when lots of people were playing arcade games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Frogger, this is what they were playing in Soviet Russia.
Здесь порядка 50 различных видов советских игровых автоматов, большинство из которых работают.
That's Alexander. He runs the Museum of Soviet Arcade Machines in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Приходя в наш музей, посетитель получает горсть настоящих советских монет, с помощью которых автоматы запускались 25 лет назад. И вот это возвращение в 80-е происходит у нас с помощью тактильных ощущений и всего, что посетитель видит.
Unlike their Western counterparts, the games weren't just for fun.
С точки зрения разработчиков советских игровых автоматов были сделаны попытки сделать автоматы, которые не, скажем так, развлекают, а развивают.
Это тяжело и достаточно бессмысленно.
The point of the games was training for the Soviet army, building skills like reasoning, hand-eye coordination, and marksmanship.
С 1975 года в Советском Союзе начали выпускать игровые автоматы. Велосипед придумывать уже не нужно было, брали самые популярные автоматы, немного упрощали их из-за отставания в электронике, поэтому у советских игровых автоматов нет памяти на очки, нет соревнования с предыдущими игроками.
All the Soviet arcade games were built in military factories, using leftover parts from weapons, refrigerators, calculators, and other items.
То есть это точно такие же развлекательные, спортивные, какие-то стрелковые военные автоматы, что и во всем мире, просто немножечко адаптированы к российским, советским реалиям.
But now, decades after the fall of the Soviet Union,
4-летний ребенок, 5-летний в нашем музее проводит время великолепно. Он не ассоциирует себя с Советским Союзом, ему просто интересно играть.
Tetris. It transcends age, culture, and language. It's a gamer and non-gamers game. But did you know Tetris has a Soviet past? Tetris is the brainchild of this man, Alexei Pajitnov. Alexei was a computer programmer in Russia. He worked for the Soviet Union at the Moscow Academy of Sciences. Alexei always had a propensity for math, computers, and puzzles. It was that propensity that led him to the creation of the best video game of all time. He drew inspiration from a little-known game, Pentamenos. Pentamenos was a puzzle board game in which you had to fit geometric shapes together. Alexei took the principles from Pentamenos, upgraded them, and created a computer game, originally only intended for himself. He named the game Tetris for two reasons. It's a combination of tetra, the Greek word meaning four, and tennis, Pajitnov's favorite sport. Because Tetris was created during work hours, the Soviet Union claimed all rights to both Tetris and all royalties.
Oi!
Fast forward to 1996, the rights to Tetris were finally signed over to Pajitnov. Tetris taps into our universal need to create order out of chaos, which is ultimately why it's one of the most iconic games in history.
This here is a darkling beetle. It lives out here in the vast desert of northwest Utah, and he's on the move. Where to? I don't have a clue, but I can tell you about the town he's leaving behind. Welcome to Lucin, Utah. There's abandoned cars, weeds. Once in a while, a train will pass through. Yup, there's not a whole lot here in Lucin. Well, except for this man. But who is this man? This man who lives in an airplane hangar, who flies a Cessna to get to his closest friends. Who is this man? This man who lives in the middle of nowhere, who lives 25 miles from this bar with this man inside, who owns a bunch of guns, works with machines, and made this thing. Who is this man?
My name is Ivo Zdarsky, and this is where I live.
As you've gathered, this man isn't from around Lucin. He grew up in Czechoslovakia before the fall of the USSR. He didn't like it much.
It's kind of hard to do anything. The communists were in power there. You cannot have your own business. It's kind of difficult to fly there, so I kind of didn't feel like I could be myself.
He really wanted to leave the country, but it wasn't easy.
There was an iron curtain. They have a machine gun towers and barbed wire to keep you in. They like to keep you.
So when he was 24, he escaped the country the only way he knew how, by flying across the border in his self-built airplane.
So I drove up close to the border between Austria, and sometime at 3 o'clock in the morning I took off and I just glided over to Austria, and I found myself at Vienna International Airport, and I landed there. And then I just showed them my expired passport and I asked for asylum.
And the world took notice.
I guess they never seen anything like that before, so I think they liked it. I liked it.
Ivo then moved to Los Angeles and built up a successful airplane propeller business. But even LA couldn't fit his big ideas.
I kinda needed a place to test my other idea, which is how to do it in the middle of the city. That's how I found this place in Utah. It was for sale, so I bought it. And I've been here for 8 years.
And what was Ivo's big idea that brought him to Lucin? Well, it's behind that door over there. Inside sits an 8-propeller flying machine, able to lift off and land vertically. It's basically an airplane-helicopter hybrid of sorts. It's kind of funny looking, but the damn thing actually flies. So what's Ivo's next big project? A solar-powered aircraft? An innovative propeller design? Some kind of new way to fly?
The next big one is that spear gun idea, which actually it works better than I thought. That doesn't always work that way. Sometimes I get really bad ideas.
Even while inventing new spear guns and the like, Ivo still finds the time to get out of the house. In fact, that's him over there, hiking on the side of a mountain. It's just him, nature, and his customized rifle.
I take the gun with me because of the mountain lions.
However treacherous the hike, it's always worth it. You get a good view of Lucin. It actually looks pretty nice from here, don't it? You know, I still wonder, why did that darkling beetle ever leave this place? Maybe Lucin wasn't right for the little guy. Maybe it's escaping to the next place where it can be itself. For Ivo, though, looks like this might be his last stop.
Kinda realized that this is what I always wanted. I kept escaping until I escaped to Lucin, and now I don't have anywhere else to escape. I'm kind of stuck here.
That was a great answer.
Well, no, it's also a truth if you think about it.
Chapter 1. He adored Las Vegas, a city that looked as beautiful as him. No, that's too narcissistic. Let me start this over. To him, Las Vegas was a city full of color, energy, and opportunity. a complete contrast from where he came from. This is the story of how Daniel Paul escaped the clutches of the Iron Curtain on its zipline and won his freedom. Yeah, this sounds much better.
Hold on, let's pause for a second. To understand this story, we need to go back. Like way back. Like back to the 80s. The place is Czechoslovakia. The ruling party, communist. Our character is Daniel Pohl, a young man who was politically outspoken.
People that knew me really well, they told me, hey, listen, all I can tell you is you really want to tone it down on your political speech because you may end up in prison. And that's when I started plotting escape.
While planning his exit strategy, Daniel met another radical thinker, a physicist named Robert Oswald.
Robert was pretty well gifted when it came to physics. He was imprisoned for political reasons. So I knew that this guy is crazy enough to be my partner in crime to get out with. We tried to come up with all kinds of crazy ideas like building our own rockets and flying over the Iron Curtain, digging tunnels. None of it seemed viable for many reasons. Then one day I see Robert glancing at a power line and something told me, you should be worried. He says, we're gonna zip line into Austria. I said, no dude, you're clinically insane. And he says, and that's why we're gonna get out.
So the two got to work, and over the next several months, they built and tested their own pulleys.
The plan was to infiltrate the border zone, climb up the tower, set up the pulleys, zip line over the Iron Curtain, climb down from the next tower into no man's land, and then make it into Austria. The reason why this was so insanely dangerous, because we could have gotten shot at the border, could have gotten electrocuted, could have gotten torn apart by border dogs, and then you have 380,000 volts coursing underneath your feet. Yeah, this mission was, to put it mildly, extremely dangerous. It was almost like a mission impossible.
But that didn't stop these two. With their pulleys made and their plan in place, they headed out and climbed the tower.
Robert went first, and when he took off, my heart just sunk. And I was like, yeah, there is no turning back. I am doing this. I decided to go for it. I went for it. When I was ziplining, it was like a mixture of emotions you never experienced before. You are way up high. You have a lot of electricity around you. It was crazy. But despite all the close calls, we made it.
Daniel and Robert became local celebrities appearing in news outlets all over Europe. Daniel even donated his pulley to the Checkpoint Charlie Museum in Berlin. The pulley still hangs there today. Robert remained in Austria, but Daniel, his sights were on America. So he moved to the one place that could match his personality, Vegas.
So I wrote a book, I got married, drive a cab in Vegas. I don't think I would drive a cab anywhere else, but in Vegas it's fun. Very international city, very dynamic. It's awesome. I wanted to be free at all costs. Yes, I wanted to piss off the communists. I wanted to show them that it doesn't matter what Iron Curtain, what wall they're gonna build, how many border patrol guards they're gonna place on the border, I'm still getting through. They cannot defeat the human spirit that wants its freedom.
That was awesome!